We're potting Rifftrax.
Rifftrax.
And I want you to have my baby bitch.
Welcome, bitches everywhere.
By the way, if you are a first-time listener of this podcast, you are going to get the exact wrong impression from what I just said. It's in reference to this movie. It will make sense by the end. It won't, but it will. But time is a flat surface. I, this movie already bewilders me. Those who are watching on YouTube can already see my wonderful background that I chose.
Show off that beefcake. Show the beefcake.
I'll try to go transparent. I'll try to go get.
Here's a protagonist who struggles with shirts.
Yeah.
And not in a sexy way.
No, this guy is these three guys. Okay. Uh God, I'm trying to think of the perfect way to describe these guys. If okay, there's 4chan and then there's 8chan. If there was like a 16chan, these guys would be calling them pussies. Like that's the level of like weird guy energy that they have. It is astounding. Like,
They've come from the darkest corners of Reddit. And even that might be giving them too much credit.
oh yeah, they it's like we'll show you the visuals. We will, but in motion, in delivery of lines, in environment, like it's would scare women so much. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
just realize that. Like, God, I will go into a little bit of the background of this movie when we get to it. Um, but honestly, let's just bite the bullet and let's just
Dive right
share
into this.
screen.
Uh,
Now I you'll notice that I started uh there was some nudity early on, so I jumped past that because
mm-hmm.
uh yeah, no nudity.
And, as with all riff tracks, it's never particularly sexy nudity.
Never,
Never in riff
never.
tracks. Just not a thing. So
Yeah,
yeah, there is nudity, but you won't be excited in the least.
yeah. I genuinely don't know if there's ever been actual sexy nudity in a Fifth Element. Mike riffed Fifth Element. That is sexy nudity. That just despite the riffing, it's still sexy. I will give that. But that's it. That's like the only time I've had it. I'm really appreciating the silence after
Yeah,
that moment.
yeah, just very. This movie is very disjointed, which is weird to say for an hour-long movie. Uh, I feel sometimes you can judge a movie by its length, and usually when you see 1 hour movies produced after a certain year, just to kind of steer clear from it.
So now that everyone knows I have a Mr. Scan account, let's just hop past this dream sequence and we get this delicious beefcake puttering around
With a shirt this time.
with
You
a shirt.
remembered.
Yeah. the whole place, you could tell this place was like, oh yeah, go ahead and chop this place open, because we're gonna just bulldoze it, it's a Canadian movie, but that's what the accent is attempting. But yeah, the genuinely like, this house looks like garbage. This is the place where, like, if you were like a low level, you know what, never mind. I'm not gonna go there because I've already been there.
So with this, on my thoughts on the set, again, it looks disused. And usually with horror movies, they like to go for something that looks a little disused, a little grungy, a little run down. And yet this just kind of looks like it is legitimately run down. There's no artistry behind it. And it's probably for the best that the cinematography is so bad you can't really make out what's going on half the time. But yeah, this does not look like a good place. It looks just like, that rundown property that definitely has a for sale or foreclosed, or sorry, not for demolition sign.
Like, this place looks so sus. I would genuinely rather, and I'm not gonna say something stupid like the Sawyer household from Texas Chainsaw. Genuinely rather stay in the Evil Dead cabin.
Hmm.
Like, that is rustic compared to this. Just looks like you'd get pink eye.
You'd get pink eye, and there's probably a few people with some addictions in there.
Hmm.
Definitely not in a good place.
Oh, there's no way wear boots. Wear boots. People who know what I know wear boots. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, this place just looks so fucking terrible. And his wife, who he's trying to help with her pregnancy, we get a reprisal of the we get a reprisal of the uh yeah, the opening credits,
Hmm.
because simply by way of terrible production values and bad editing. The Thing's theme is by Strychnine, and yes, it is STRYK hyphen 9.
Horror literacy is cool. And then we also have the backwards quotation mark there. So, yep, we're in for a quality production.
As they put it, the Worldwide Pants production logo. They say it's like a drone jogging. This this is getting to a bit of circuity with what I was starting at. Um, this is adult film star Amber Lynn, I believe, and
Hmm.
most of the film's budget went to her.
She's
She's
honestly one of the better actors in this, and I don't mean that with any sort of facetiousness. I do mean that she's taking this news broadcaster role pretty well for such a low budget production.
No, like, genuinely, this performance is easily the best,
Hmm.
because it may not be a realistic performance, it may not be a nuanced performance, but she is doing something. The other people, it's like, it's anti-acting. It is so bad.
Hmm.
But yes, a lot of it went to her. Uh, she, I do not fault her. I actually respect her for not learning any of her lines, because why the fuck would you for a movie like this? She's obviously reading off a cue card, and they the news interstitials don't really do anything until later on when stuff quote unquote starts to happen. So
Hmm.
yeah, we got the uh plastic bag uh plastic bag drapes. We have these two guys that look like every Canadian guy and a grody looking Jim Henson type guy. We dick around in the uh, ice box and
Hmm.
find a tape recorder, and they begin playing, and there's demonic stuff, references to Aleister Crowley,
Alistair Crowley
and
gets them.
it's yes, this is. It's not just that they're ripping off Evil Dead. This is they like, isn't that like the fucking movie that you talked about, man?
Which Mike says never try to do improv while high or something like that.
Which let me tell
Because
you,
yeah.
you you can riff high, you can't improv high.
Hmm.
Believe me. But yeah, they mention all that. They put their jackets in the fridge or freezer, which again, just weirdness. He's the Jim Henson looking guy is pissed off by a plastic fish. This goes nowhere. This
This this movie just feels like a giant nothing sandwich.
okay,
And, and which is weird. There are things that happen, but it's just by the time anything starts happening, you've long since lost any sense of caring for it. It's like weird things like them drink these really crappy beers and then water them down even further.
okay. Yeah, and there is going to be unpleasantness about the subject matter because this movie is genuinely fucking unpleasant. Like I'm kind of regretting having milk duds because it means I need to drink milk to wash them down. It's like, God damn it. But they talk about like, hey, is there anything on TV? And the answer is something to the effect of, and Jesse can confirm this, yeah, those bestiality channels. You
The
know,
bestiality
the
channels.
murder torture stuff, the underground shit from New York and LA. Sometimes you don't know where the fuck it's from. So
These are the exact words said in the movie. And
which means we jump after, you know, I forget who it was that said never mix sex and death. It might have been Romero. I don't know. I really don't know. But somebody said never mix sex and death. Um, was it Carpenter? It was someone. So we get adult film performer Ginger Lynn, and then immediately we are thrust into the world of these underground uh basically at the time they would be pirate stations essentially that you
mhm.
would need, special adapters to
Yeah,
find.
this is also the time of George W. Bush, making it a little confusing. Just what are they shooting for?
Yeah. And for those of you wondering how I know the intricacies of this, just I have friends who are true crime fans. Just settle the hell down. But yeah, we genuinely get very unpleasant scenes that just uh I mean, for one thing, they some of the lines are like, I think it's like I think we've gotten into Eli Roth beyond Eli Roth levels of depravity. It's like, yeah, I think Rob Zombie wants some of his shots back.
Hmm.
And it's like I'm glad they chose those two because it's like I like them, but dude, they overshoot sometimes. Like there's gore galore, then there's settle the fuck down. But yeah, I mean, here's the good thing and bad thing about this scene. We've got a capable woman working in the workplace, but she is an actor in a snuff film. Not the person who gets snuffed, but it's just not good in any capacity. There's no way to make this good or right,
Hmm.
or it's fucking repulsive. It really is. Just look at these. Oh yeah, and the guy, the character's name is Bitch. There's
Hmm.
that we have to get to. And she is called that. She is addressed as such. We break away from that and we find out that our scientist friend, who this house is, um, he was given these pictures by the Queen of England,
That's right. He's got some weird contacts and weird memorabilia.
which I mean, if you're like if you are a quote unquote top scientist in Canada, yeah, dude, you'd put your principality or whatever they're called, like you'd probably get to meet them. But like
Hmm.
these aren't top scientists. He's like a scientist, but like good grief. And he's got this. He collects lost art. This is a piece by Dali,
Hmm.
which let me honestly say, I am looking at the putting my glasses on. Being an art critic, I do love the surreal. Believe me, folks, I am not dicking around when I say this, and I'm not being facetious. I'm genuinely looking at this. This does not look dully. This absolutely not. It doesn't look dully.
It probably looks more like something that you might see on a bootleg cover for a horror movie.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna say an Italian or Mexican,
Hmm.
Italian or
Like a
Mexican
Friday the
horror.
13th ripoff or Jason X ripoff there with that mask.
Yes, yes. But this fake dolly, and this man is enamored by both lamps and the star, the true star of the movie, I think we can safely say. Uh, um, the drinking bird from that episode of uh, yeah, and he burns himself. They begin to watch the murder chainsaw porn. This guy waters down a beer because it's too, it tastes like dog shit. That's the reasoning.
Hmm.
Um, this thing, I find this interesting because this is something that is in a lot of B movies. We are seeing characters watching a movie on TV. They're actively watching the movie and they're
Hmm.
responding to the movie. And what is usually done is either in low budget movies, people know this in low budget movies, you will either get public domain stuff where it's, anyone can use it, or you will, this is like a tradition, get your old movies that you made, your old kind of college era, like isn't for like general release, but like my friends can watch it, like that era of production, and you show those, and it makes it seem like, oh well, there's someone worse than us, when you realize, oh, the someone that's worse than
This
us
is
is
the
us.
same. Yeah.
It's just me from before. But yeah, they
Like
give us.
I think this an example of this done well is like when, let's say, in parody with South Park, how they have, everyone initially thought, oh, how crude, how ugly everything looks, just this thing that looks like
Mhm.
straight out of a pre-K art class. And it's like, no, this is what's straight out of a pre-K art class as the South Park boys watch their Canadian heroes, which look even cruder with little cube arms and floppy heads with
Mhm.
no other sort of mouth movement. So I think that's an example of this trope done right. Unfortunately, this is not. I just wanted to reach for something way more interesting to talk about than things.
Yeah, they begin watching the loudest fucking porn in the world. And nowadays, I mean, you just put your headphones on, but back then you could just turn it on and there'd be loud porn. We get the doctor entering.
Ah, hang on. We got the bread sandwiches here.
Hmm. We got beer and we got bread sandwiches. We are yeasting like motherfuckers.
And
We
I
are.
think that's the only sort of charm to be found in this movie, just the weirdness about it's the almost inhuman ways that people carry on. And I'm not even talking about all the murder or porn or snuff or any of that. I'm talking about the fact that they eat bread sandwiches and drink dog shit beer.
Mhm. Genuinely, I read somewhere that to make sure that you are not kind of your job isn't taken by an algorithmic AI bot, a chat bot making an article, you need to insert a certain level of weirdness, a certain level of just kookiness, zaniness, quirkiness. And it's something that it's not that computers haven't gotten to it yet. It's that computers haven't, like, they never will. There's just like a level in the human brain that like computers will never get to. And if you add like a certain level of that kookiness to
Hmm.
like an article or a
Like
movie, then it makes it genuinely, it makes it stand out a lot.
I'm reaching for a word. It's kind of like eccentricity, just something a little off, the idiosyncrasies
Mhm.
that really AI can't produce. Just you see AI just kind of lapping around saying a whole lot of nothing. Whereas if, this movie says a whole lot of nothing, but it's the idiosyncrasies that really set apart, like any of those, if I wrote an AI to generate a Netflix thing, and those are never generated by
Yeah.
AI, but they are just meant to map out the idiosyncrasies of AI and just the idiosyncrasies
Mhm.
of formula when done badly. And I feel that's, to its credit, this movie could never be dismissed as something written entirely by AI.
Yeah, that's the thing about these movies. It's just, oh God, these characters are so repugnant. I cannot just. Yeah, there's loud blasting farts from this gentleman
Hmm.
that is the doctor. He eats a bug sandwich.
And I think we also get the great riff that anyone with those glasses belongs on a registry somewhere.
Yeah. Then we hear Susan, and the things begin bursting out of Susan because Susan is she has been experimented on because she couldn't have a baby with this guy, and so their scientist friend decided to help them. We get a lot of pissing and moaning at the
Hmm.
table, a lot of oh gods and what are we gonna do's. And genuinely these characters, the way that they deliver the lines is so repugnant
Hmm.
because it really is like, oh God, what are we gonna do, man? I don't
Like
know. I get,
when we t when we
yeah.
talk about the fact that the newscaster didn't bother to learn her lines, she
Hmm.
sounds way more natural than any
Oh,
of these
well,
actors. Um, I never would have thought that she didn't learn her lines just because it did sound like she was reading off cue cards, which that's a newscaster. It fit the role. But with these people, it's a little bit sad because clearly they memorize their lines to some capacity and yet deliver them with such soulless delivery. They don't re- really have any enthusiasm. They don't even seem like they feel like nothing. I can respect when an actor seems to showcase contempt for the product that they're in because that brings some
hmm.
emotion. That brings something that to the table that otherwise wouldn't be there. These are, even though we say that you can't really replace, um, that this is clearly not a product of AI, these actors might be better off if we were to just use some AI uh, overlay dub with how they deliver their lines.
Yeah. And also their delivery basically sounds like uh if Jean Grey blasted their lines into their heads like with terrible force, because like everything seems so weird. We get this Conan O'Brien type fellow who's
Mhm.
also a newscaster doing a joke about Tracy Lords. I don't hear the joke about Tracy Lords because they're talking, but they make fun of her being an ex. Okay, here's where we get into the rabbit hole. They make fun of her being an ex porn star. Then we cut to
Mhm.
Ginger Lynn, current porn star, laughing at the woman. I don't get it.
I really struggle to see this movie clearly has stuff that's supposed to be funny, but I would be worried if you're laughing at anything other than the riffs because there's really no humor in this. I feel
Yeah. Then the Slurpy Derpy guy gets blood all over him.
even Lady Macbeth's telling him to tone it down.
Yeah,
Is a great riff. That said,
they get they get him shirtless. God damn it. And the loudest paper towel roll in the world. Okay,
hmm
here's another bit of shit that is really this is a line in the movie. This is basically what the line is. And again, Jesse, you will confirm this. I
I have
didn't
born witness.
I didn't know you liked all this. Fucking kitty shit. Oh no, that was my niece Jessica. We put this stuff up here after we tortured and ate her. That was fucking great.
Yep.
Yes, again, that was these guys.
I, I feel this movie would be a lot more. It just seems so mean-spirited and cynical without really any outlet of humor, without any sort of self-awareness. It just seems cynical in just about every aspect, especially the delivery. And it's not a charmingly cynical piece. It's just very sort of like I don't know. I always think of that pizza cutter meme: all edge, no point.
Hmm. Like the people, I might be wrong, dude. I might fucking be wrong, but well, I mean, I don't think I am. I think I read this somewhere. These people seem genuinely unpleasant. And I was reading about them, and they were basically like just a bunch of grody dudes from Canada who like they're like layabouts and like douchebags that didn't get like they would never get jobs. They would lay about. They would just drink beer and run up people's bills. I
Hmm.
mean, I've read this from people who knew them, and apparently this was their way of like proving themselves to be like just as like that they could be artists and filmmakers because they were the type of guys that would hang around like the the video, specifically like the video nasty section of the horror shop, the one where it's like, yeah, like I kind of don't even want to see the covers to those ones, like almost
Hmm.
kind of walk past that. Like video store kids will know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But apparently that was like I said, heard that from the same source that uh said we talked about Amber Lynn. So and we get these.
Uh,
Oh, go ahead.
so yeah, you can really get that vibe off of them because they don't really seem like actors per se. They don't really seem like um much of anything, just very unpleasant. It makes sense just given the casting choices. It kind of puts this movie into a new perspective. The riffers, I think Bill says, there's a difference between making a movie and uh, used for future evidence. And I don't know, this may be that joke may be closer to home than anyone would like.
Yeah. And they scream and laugh and cry and pour vodka on each other. It's fucking repulsive. Jesus, God in heaven. Then they go down the 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 electricity goes out, so they go down into the basement. Again, no shirt. Don't know why he feels the need to not wear one. They want to grab what
It,
is essentially the biggest flashlight in the world. And what were you saying?
I was just going to say it. It actually becomes a source of humor just how shirtless this guy is. And then again, just hearing the sound effects, um, where it's just like it sounds like someone putting a sander against an unfinished chair when they start to graft stuff onto the flashlight. That just do add a tinge of humor, but just for the sake that those were the choices they made, not in that they're inherently funny.
Mhm. We get the things which are ants with venom mouths and no eyes. There. Giant ants with venom mouths and no eyes. That's the best description.
Mm-hmm.
Clean that off. We go do a little bit more. Get a shirt. Somebody has to take somebody has to go to the bathroom. Uh,
Yeah, that's a whole dilemma of who needs to take a piss.
and the Jim Henson looking motherfucker,
And it's
he is been spirited away to another dimension. I don't fucking know. It's they he's just out of the movie. I genuinely think like he had like a shift at the bottling plant or some fucking shit like that. I don't know. Yeah.
one thing I like is one of the things is in the bathroom and the riffers say, occupied here.
Hmm.
Again, with a lot of these movies, it's the riffers doing the heavy lifting, and this one's no exception.
Hmm.
And I feel they have to lift a little more. It's when there's these hour-long movies that come from. I'd say what hour-long movies stopped being good out after the 70s, 80s.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, anything after that, you see that runtime, you probably should run.
And he fumbles with a shirt for about an hour and gets it on. They begin to fight the things. Uh, the hoser accidentally hits scientist with a hammer. Last time I get hammered with you. And he has to turn the light on, which seems superfluous since there are lights on.
And can we just talk about how terrible the video quality is?
Yeah.
This looks like it was something shot on a like this is maybe like 244p in terms of quality. Or sorry, would it be 144 or 2?
I don't know the different things.
So it's
I,
just
I have
very
re
low resolution, and I'm not joking when I say that. It's not your even for the time, which I believe the standard would have been 480. There was a few others, but just it looks like a digital video production, right?
Yeah, but
But
bear in mind I have astigmatism and I'm schizoaffective, so like shit just looks weird to me. Like
mhm.
anything. Like I can tell
Yeah,
what looks really bad and this looks really bad.
hmm yeah, this is definitely not a high quality film, and the light, they turn on the lights, and not like that improves anything for the audience.
We have this weirdo that seems like a mixture between Johnny from Night of the Living Dead and the Head Crusher from uh Kids in the Hall. Hey, this is Canadian, maybe. And the guy gets his fingers bitten off by the the things. And his crying face is so wretched. Like there's no way to describe how disgusting this guy's performance is. They cauterize the wound, and then they wrap it up, and it's like, oh, it's dripping out like maple syrup. And I guess, yeah, that's a regional reference. And he just puts
I
him in
just
a
love.
closet so he won't get killed anymore.
And then I love that the riffers say this brand of paper towels in no way endorses this movie.
By the way, this movie's score goes from weird Mortis-esque, like not even good Mortis, bad Mortis. Sorry, Mortis, but like just bad Mortis, barely audible punk tunes, and like Richard Hung himself type sounding things, and sexy Ralph Bakshi jazz, which is just weird. So he goes on a rampage and gets a drill and starts to destroy all the things, and then he falls asleep. There's news of there's news of these guys missing, but when he wakes up, he's surrounded by things, and his Jim Henson friend is back with a chainsaw, just fucking chainsawing shit up and stuff to that it's just chopping and chopping and slashing. Not even good chopping and slashing.
It's terribly shot, like terribly. It is really hard to make out many of the actions in the movie, between lifeless dialogue and also lifeless shots that, they're it's unpleasant to look at in a sense where it's just so crude. And you can have crude productions and you can make the most of things. This one just feels so lacking in any sort of integrity whatsoever.
Yeah, and again, another verbal weirdness. The guy gets locked in the room with all the things and begins to get eaten to death. And he says, this is, again, Jesse, here I go. They're eating me. They're eating me down to the bone. I'm getting eaten alive. Save me. Oh man, you're a fucking chicken shit. Oh, fucking save me, man. Last time I helped you, you're a fucking coward, you chicken shit. Fucking save me, man. Yeah, they can put me back together, take me to the hospital, man. They can put me back together. They can do almost anything, man. I'm right here. I'm right here. I'm over here, and I'm over there, and there I am. And, oh man, oh, they can put me back together, man. All of that, Jesse, right?
Yep.
This
It's
movie is Dadaism. Like Man Ray would be astonished by this.
I feel as such an insult to any sort of Dadaism. Um, this is someone who heard about Dadaism once in college and thought this is the way to go.
Mhm.
And I think that's giving them too much credit. Maybe came across it on a Wikipedia article.
Yeah, there's
And
this. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, we do. I think we just have a lot of contempt for this movie. This, um, there's, I feel there's some sort of, in good movies, there's some sort of vision, there's some sort of thing that people want to get across. In bad movies, there's some sort of vision or things people want to get across.
Mhm.
Like, I think of the infinitely superior Trolls 2, where, oh, they're
Mhm.
eating her and then they're gonna eat me. Oh
Oh
my
my
God.
God.
Moments. And it's just night and day difference because they feel very passionate about, oh, this is against vegetarianism, this is against just all sorts of things. And it's a weird choice, but it's a choice. I don't really see any sort of choice, any sort of sense, and it just really bothersome that someone thought, okay, this is something I want to put out into the world. I don't see any sort of merit in terms of acting, in terms of script, in terms of cinematography. This is one of those movies that really has no sort of merit which is weird to say without any sort of product placement or anything. It just
Mhm.
exists almost to spite people.
Mhm.
And I think that's probably right considering what you told us.
Mm. Sorry, eating candy, folks.
Trust me, that's more interesting than this movie.
We get Jeff Foxworthy. You might be the scientist to help impregnate this guy's wife if you walk into a room where she has been eaten completely and you think that the guy with the fucking chainsaw did it, you might be what the whole thing. If you can't deliver your lines without audibly and visibly laughing like this actor does, might be that. If you repeat lines over and over and over again and get I don't want to do it anymore. Fucking hate Jeff Foxworthy too much.
Mhm.
So yeah, he thinks that the guy killed him, killed everyone. So he realizes he needs to get rid of him. So he throws him into a room filled with things. And then we have this. Okay, this shit is Zapruder. Look, that that's someone's last known footage.
Mhm.
He finds a guy in a bridge and is helped up instead of taking the road up. And they drive off. Or do they? Maybe not. The guy comes back as a flesh monster and he wants to kill. They're back at the house.
And you have just experienced things.
Yeah, you have just experienced things. And yeah, we get okay, here we go. Here are some of the character names. Susan Drake, tortured in Dream, Reporter 2 and 3, Doctor's Assistant, Hanging, Nude Lady, Stretcher Boy, Igor, Joker on
Joker on
TV,
TV, number
TV
one and
Victim,
two.
TV Mania. Also, here's something interesting. When they did a reunion DVD.
Really?
And I'm not kidding when I say this. This is going to sound like a fucking Garth Ennis joke, but I'm not kidding. The nude lady, Jessica Stewart, I don't know if that was her real name or not, but apparently she was a local sex worker. And that's how they were able to hire her to appear nude, basically. You know,
Hmm.
she didn't want to show her face, and that's fine with her. Uh, and she said she didn't come back because she didn't want to be associated with the film because it's so beneath me, and I love that.
Hmm.
That is a big smile on the face of me, who is a supporter of sex workers.
And I think it's really hard to say who's a good actor in this movie, but between her and the
Mm.
newscaster, they're probably the best roles, and I mean that without the slightest hint of sarcasm or irony. They are probably the only people who really try in whatever little is given in this movie.
Okay, we're looking at some of the people thanked. This includes the New York Times Fangoria, Horror Fan, Variety, Rolling Stone, The Village Voice.
Now we see a list of names. The Film Canada Yearbook.
Amberlin Management. Okay, yeah. Um, and we're looking at this seems like people who contributed. But yeah, I'm going to guess that if there was any contribution that any of those big names made, uh it was genuinely like this movie is putrid garbage, don't see it. That's kind of what I got from it.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, yeah, that is things, folks. Ooh.
And it's a very, at its best, it's a very boring, lifeless film.
Mm,
At its worst, it's a showcase of just what these people sort of prioritize, what they think is funny, what they see as dark. And in that darkness, there's no sort of charm or humor. It's just droll. It's just very, or just not,
mm.
or not droll. It's just very, very dreary, I should say. And yeah, just I have no good words for this movie.
Yeah, I mean, as two people who just finished riffing What is a Woman by the Daily Wire and are going to riff Lady Ballers by the Daily Wire, we know about hating filmmakers, not just like, oh, this guy's so bad, I hate him. No, this is like, no, I fucking hate you. Like you're a prick, stop what you're doing. There are several filmmakers that I feel like that, but you know,
I feel anyone who tries to exploit or otherwise spread hurtful, harmful messages is probably someone who lands on that radar. And while this one teeters on that because these are these characters, it doesn't feel like it's far removed from any of the actors or any of the director.
yeah.
Like, you have great stuff written about horrible people. Like, you've got your Breaking Bad, your Better Call Saul, you've got all sorts of other things that you could say, are these about good people? No. But they're well written. They're such great pieces of art that you can't help but enjoy them. And even if you recognize, oh, these are meant to be representations of our failings and faults. But this
Hmm.
one, they feel one on one. And one thing is that we don't really want to conflate, okay, this is the author's views with the actual author, or just, oh, this is, we don't like to
Yeah.
conflate that, but
Well,
this seems, it feels one to one, and I can't really explain it because there's nothing to really compare it to, but it just feels like this is their views, and it's not a pretty picture.
hmm, yeah, it really is just a very gross assemblage, and but there have been grosser assemblages.
Hmm.
If you want it's a rough watch, but it is captivating as all hell. The Creep Behind the Camera, available on Tubi as of this recording. It is about the guy that made The Creeping Terror, famous episode of MST. He made the movie featured on it and was apparently a terrible, terrible man. The movie is very good. I mean, it's like it's a rough one. Like it's like how I say like Old Boy is a good movie. Like fucking prepare yourself. Like, but yeah, that there's another example of that. So there you go.
Uh, who we hanging out with today?
Yeah, sorry to end on such a fucking bummer. Oh,
So,
you know who we're hanging out with?
hanging out, hanging
No, no, no,
out.
hold on. We are hanging out with our own movies that we riff. Movies that might be stupid, might be dumb, but it's us doing it. We're hanging out. You and me are hanging out with Jesse, Jason, Darius, sometimes Pete, sometimes Ivy, things get crazy, but we're hanging out. That we're hanging out, hanging out,
Hanging out,
hanging out,
hanging out,
hanging out
hanging
because
out
we're
with
hanging out,
hanging close,
hanging out,
hanging out,
hanging out, hanging out,
hanging out,
just hanging out,
hanging out,
hanging out,
hanging out,
hanging out,
hanging out,
hanging out because we're
watching
hanging
some terrible Daily Wire movie.